It just spoke volume to show the type of management systems that are in there. Dictatorship would best describe it because, when given an instruction, you cannot even question, how do I not challenge a process with fairness of being moved out of an appointed position? I wasn't seconded there. If maybe it was issues of capacity, let's start with the seconded group and then let's look at that which would be your contract of employment. But that was never the case, commissioners. On paragraph 89, it just took a turn of notifying my union and instituting grievance procedures, and furthermore what would be expected to be an outcome. I remember that my issue was such a hot potato, it could never be handled. And as a last stage of handling internally, because on a grievance procedure, you start with the immediate supervisor and then it moves on to the head of department. If it's not resolved, then it becomes the responsibility of the city manager. When it got to the level of the city manager, it was referred to Advocate Behari, who's the head of Department for Legal and Corporate Services. Despite factual evidence provided to him, we're talking appointment letter, the work being done, the fact that the unit is not even disbanded, that they are still continuing doing media work, he simply told me he will not rule in my favor and I must seek relief elsewhere and find alternative means of challenging the system.
Colonel, your immediate supervisor, now you are redeployed.
Correct.
To this OR Tambo
Correct.
Precinct Commander. Your immediate supervisor is who?
The immediate supervisor is a Colonel Malefofane, who then makes the ruling that he doesn't have a mandate in this matter. The instructions given were given from above and he cannot then make a ruling on same. So that's when it escalated to the head of department, who's now is the person in question. And then because it's never handled, it escalated to the office of the city manager as a third step.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairperson, if I may, it's 1 o'clock.
Let's carry on to the end, please.
Please proceed, Colonel.
So again,
I think that takes you to 92. I think you've summarized.
Yes.
Yes. After Advocate Behari's decision that you must seek relief in another way.
Correct.
Then that takes you to 92.
So my union proceeded to lodge a case in the bargaining council. So we are still just running with those processes as we speak.
Now, when you were appointed head of media, and I think your testimony just a short while ago, is that you had a letter of appointment.
Correct.
Yes. And what is the substantive change in your functions now that you are commander of a precinct? What are the differences between the two jobs?
Commissioner, there's also a certain title attached to being the spokesperson of a department. I mean, we are well known by our media counterparts. This is an element of, demotion in its nature. We are now speaking and not even having announced reasons behind it. We are being demoted to now attend to operational league. Had I wanted to be operational, I would have applied for an operational and specialized services post. But now my specialty was that which is media, communications, drafting of things, and which by then, in contrast to the operational league. And the terms of the conditions of working there, the fact that as a media somebody, you get to attend public relations event, being placed at the airport, you are bound in the office to do operational work. A simple, very silly example I would give is Fridays, you are not even in uniform in the media space. at the airport 24/7 in uniform and such. So it was, again, a demotion of its nature. And furthermore, it just left that which is scrutiny by media in saying, what has happened and where is she? She was introduced to us officially with a media publication and a whole media coverage. But now that she's absent, nothing and nobody's saying anything. So it just leaves room to wonder and say.
So the content of your job was changed.
It was extensively.
It was a completely different job.
Correct.
And this was done without consultation
Absolutely.
or your agreement.
Correct.
And without any document that tells you that now you have a different job.
Correct.
Thank
I
you.
still do not have a job description for a commander of the OR Tambo International Airport. It's just based on the experience of growing within the ranks that I know what is expected operationally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Colonel Thepa, before we pick up on paragraph 93, could I ask you to have regard to paragraph 88 on page 21? Just to ensure that we cover this aspect, could you please read 88 into the record?
So over the course of time, I became settled in my new role. However, I subsequently discovered that the EMPD media unit was never disbanded. My team of 8 liaison officers had been deployed to various places. They continued to be doing media relations. At that point, I realized that the plan was to move me out of the media unit.
Thank you, Colonel. Can I then ask you to turn to page 23? And then please detail that experience to the Commission as it begins at paragraph 93.
So I'm now at the operations and specialized services. I'm commanding the airport. There's a shift system now that has been introduced in saying that night shift duties I would also need to cover. So I would also need to take that responsibility under ops of being a night shift commander. Night shift commander, to me, in the experience of my work, has always been that you are out operational with the members. Should anything happen to the members and you are the commander, you are better placed to account and respond to anything that is to come. I'm having the last night on a Thursday, the Friday being that when I knock off Friday, then I'm done with my night shift.
For the record, perhaps let's indicate that this section of your statement is headed second violent attack.
Yes, Commissioner.
Please continue.
So I'm getting ready to go to the 10 o'clock, 2200 p.m. shift and get ready. Then a friend came over to see me after she knocked off work. On my way out, I'm like, no, I need to pump the tires. We'll just do that exercise. I stop outside her house. While stopping there, 2 gentlemen then approaches the vehicle at gunpoint again, get us in the vehicle, direct me to drive, make me drive around Tembisa, and eventually get us to this secluded place. And I think what pains me the most, it is that which is always having to make reference to work. This time, the modus operandi was that, I'm a problem at work, and they had made the threat of saying they want to burn me in the car. And how do they then want to burn me in the car? This gentleman makes a call to somebody and they start speaking in Zulu. Describe me, the height, The vehicle that I operate, of which it does belong to council, it was a white Ford Ranger. Ask this person on the other end of the line, and they confirm that, yeah, huye, KI simtolile simbambile. I'm being made to park under an electricity tower, and, you know, it's just one thing after another. These instances, I remember I had requested to go pee because I needed to get rid of the phone which I had in my possession. And as I moved away to go pee, I see that these people are watching me like a hawk, and I wasn't even able to throw it out or anything of that sort. Coming back to the car, as I'm being chaperoned in, I then throw it under the seat, the vehicle, that at least it's no longer in possession. If found, I don't know. Then they ask me for dockets. I'm asking, what dockets? Honestly, I thought they had confused me with somebody in the South African Police Services. I tell them I don't work with dockets. No, it's funama docket. They open the cubby hole, they check behind the seat pockets at the back, and commissioners, you know, when you are dedicated to your work and you keep on receiving lash, you are chastised for the work that you do. And then it could only just raise a question as to say, what is the expectation then? I had signed a contract of employment. You had identified me. I didn't promote myself. I didn't make myself to be the spokesperson. I didn't even request for these inquiries to come my way. But why now? Why now? And at what expense? I have a daughter that I need to raise. Am I then saying that I must die in the line of duty for them to come and celebrate and put my coffin at the top of a fire engine and said she was a hero? It could never be that. After the second attack, I knew that things are really personal. I do not even have a leg to stand on. I do not have anybody to go to. I'm being handled in the department for reasons that are foreign to me. I would say this, commissioners, because again on the 19th of March this year, members of the EMPD, they had taken to protest over salary adjustments. This is known because it had media traction. The procedure and process that was adopted in dealing with the matter itself was that anybody who was identified to be part of the strike will then receive a dismissal notice. Commissioners, I'm seated here today further saying I was never part of the strike. But needless to just mention that I'm one who had received a pre-dismissal notice for a strike that I never even participated in. Whatever that I had done to the EMPD management, I think this is the time for me to say it was never done deliberately. It was just in execution of my duties, that they needed to know and understand that I too am human. They cannot just keep sending random people to come and deal with me for the work that I do. And if at any given point I'm no longer sufficient in carrying out the functions, they must just find a replacement, and I will find my way out.
Thank you, Colonel.
I don't think you've told the full narrative with regard to this second attack. For example, you mentioned that you threw your phone under the vehicle. Part of the narrative says the phone rang or something and so on. If you could take us to the end of the narrative, please.
I think, Commissioners, I'm just...
Oh, you don't, oh, no.
Yeah, I think because you have it on record, then...
No, I understand then.
I'm sorry for that, Commissioner.
I'm sorry. I had not realized. Yeah. You wanted to...
Yes. You say you don't know what happened to this Rabasutu case, so this matter was reported. You've given us a case number.
The matter was reported,
yes.
And a case number was given as it reflects on the statement. And
yes.
so, yeah.
And you do say in that section that you were assisted or rescued by members of the EMPD and the SAPS. They arrived at the scene.
Correct, they did arrive at the scene. And when Commissioners, when Colonel Ndalo is a deputy director within the EMPD, he's the one that had came to the scene and the state that he had seen me in, and I was not having any of it. I told him right there and there to say, I'm tired with your department. If this is the treatment that I must get from the department that I work so tirelessly for, then it's not worth it. But I will not be subjected to any form of punishment for doing the work that I did.
And you are certain that these people, they knew that you're an employee of the MPD. Were you in uniform?
I had, on the top part, it was the uniform with the boots and whatnot. So when they had looked for dockets, that's when it became confusing to me as to say, but no, wait, I don't deal with dockets. I'm not SAPS. You're probably mistaking me for somebody within the South African Police Services, but I'm not that person.
All right. Maybe then to move on, you also mentioned the EMPD strike. You say you got a pre-dismissal notice. Did anything come out of that? Was there a further step, or it's just left hanging?
Commissioners, it was approached in a very generic way, because now we are employed by the human resource of the department. From the employment itself, you sign a contract or enter into a contract with the city by virtue of representation of HOD/HR. Issues of discipline now come, and seemingly things have changed. They are urging me to be at a strike that I was never part of. And the letter of pre-dismissal inquiry is signed by Ben Dikob Mkwanazi. I had requested countless of times to say, I'm operating a council vehicle. It has trackers. Please provide me with data that had placed me at the scene, or even a photo of me being there. The video footages that you had told media that you had collected in identifying people on strike, none of that was forthcoming, Commissioners, because they do not even exist. They are not in existence.
So what is the status now of that pre-dismissal notice? Nothing, has it been set aside, or you still expect, you think something might still happen in the light of that?
I'm having labor matter after another labor matter.
I see.
It's now the unfair suspension that I was placed. There is the moving from the position I was appointed to. There is a post I had applied for involving a director of fine administration that I had submitted, and I was shortlisted. So with the outcome and the discovery that we don't meet requirements, I then object to that. Already I'm being targeted for doing what is procedures of the city.
Lastly, from me, when you started earlier in your evidence, you said you had been on suspension and you are now back at work. Did I hear you correctly?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And this is back at work to the precinct commander position?
I'm still reporting in the office of the Chief of Police for now. That would be I'm reporting to Colonel Du Plessis for the process and procedures of the commission, that I was kept in his wing for purposes of consultation, for purposes of being in attendance of such a commission, and that it avoids having to report to different structures that no, ubhizi nabantu beMadlanga. no, this and that. So,
But you are back at work.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Yes, Madlala and Madlanga sound quite similar. It's Madlanga.
My apology, Commissioner.
Thank you. Although this relates to the attack, I hope you will be relatively comfortable to respond to it. You also mentioned that your attackers demanded money from you. You reached out to a friend, and the friend sent 3,000 rand. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Yes. I just wanted that to be on record as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colonel, sorry, Advocate Mhlasedi. I want to take you back to paragraph 5 of your statement. So your ordeal started with the blue lights. And I see in your paragraph 5 statement, you say at one point, you were the commander of the VIP unit responsible for protection of the city manager. So I have two questions about that. For the protection of the city manager, did the city of Ekurhuleni use private security companies? That's question one. If the answer is yes, did those private security companies use blue lights during your time in that position?
Thank you, Commissioners. During my time as the commander for the VIP unit, members of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department officers were responsible for the protection of all our principal. We are talking the city manager, where I happen to be one of the BGs or bodyguards in that term, and the executive mayor, member of the EMPD. At no given point did we have security personnel responsible for the conveyance nor the protection of any of our city officials, including the principal, when I was commander there. And I think the next question cannot be answered because we never had a situation where security companies were.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Does that take us to the impact or?
Would I ask the witness just one more question, and then I'll
Thank you.
give her an opportunity to.
Thank you.
Colonel, on page 26, paragraph 108, you
100 and? My apologies.
paragraph 108 of your witness statement, 108, yes. You deal there with your issuance of a pre-dismissal notice. Please tell the Commission, were you the only officer who received one, or was it a number of you?
You know, Commissioners, things that are happening in the city of Ekurhuleni, you'd only imagine them not to be happening in South Africa. Means of identifying people that were on strike. They had reported and said to the media that they had used tracking devices, photos of people identified there, video footages, and I think there was even a time when they had made reference to a drone that they had made use of. Commissioners, on this platform, members of the EMPD who embarked on a strike, most of those that had received pre-dismissal inquiries, they were not on strike. Some were off duty, some were not even in the province. I remember there's a case where this person was in hospital, yet was listed as a person who had participated in the strike. And to even show the wrongfulness of this conduct, how is HODHR distancing herself from signing pre-dismissal inquiries and allowing a acting chief of police to be signing those pre-dismissal inquiries, and who then delegates the responsibility to supervisors? Because there would be legal issues that are raised in that aspect, and who then is to answer other than that who has deposited a signature on the document? So it seems like everybody's just moving away from what would be comebacks of this whole thing. And they go out and pronounce unreasonable and things that have never happened to say this is how we have, and now we have taken a decision. And we are again failed by organized labors because you make a mention of such things and you inform them, but I wasn't even at the strike, or I wasn't even around, I was out of the province, I was sick with a sick note and having been admitted in hospital. How am I then placed to that? Irrespective of what the representation submitted was, mine was simple. I'm accused of, while in uniform, operating a council vehicle, carrying a firearm, have blocked the R21, N12, N17, M2. It's an impossibility. How am I in all these areas at once, for one? Secondly, they said in uniform. I haven't been in uniform since they had taken my work boots from the incident I had in October of the previous year. Carrying a firearm, I don't carry a firearm if I'm not in uniform.
For her to speak on the personal income, the personal impact.
Ms. Thepa, if you still have more on impact, because I think you have touched on it here and there, but if you still have anything else to say on impact.
Commissioners, what I need to be understood, it is that criminality within our space as law enforcement, what do you make of having to fight crime beside criminals themselves? How am I expected to go out onto the battlefield against a criminal, with a criminal only that resourced in full uniform and having all these powers that they could do what they do? It seems like we're a doomed nation as South Africans, because it doesn't speak, it doesn't address, it doesn't even defend the victims. In this instant, myself, I have no defense. I have to find means of fending for myself. My family, who's also exposed to all these dangers, the frustration that comes with financial challenges, the fact that, twice already, I was almost admitted in an institution. I had a referral to go to Akesu. I had refused blatantly and said I needed to be sound and sober. I had another referral to go to at Glen Vista, I believe, the hospital. Commissioners, it is extremely difficult to work under the conditions that we do in the EMPD by virtue of criminality, that there's a great expectation and powers vested in us to fight the very same crime. With my case in that aspect, what more when the criminal know who you are? Above all, they know my face. I'll forever be a target in that element. I thank you for the opportunity.